Hi, and thanks for tuning in to the CBA Podcast, a place where we chat about our own recent achievements in the area of electronics, software and mechanical engineering, and more likely than not, give excuses for not having done anything at all. Hello and welcome back to another episode. It's been quite a while since the last recording, so I actually have some stuff to talk about. First of all, we just got back from the EMFcamp, that's the Electromagnetic Field Camp in England, which is a creative, art, technology, security, software, hardware, hacking, mechanical, robot camp in England. And a lot of people came there, I don't know how many, but a lot of people participated in making LED art or installations or robots or do weird stuff. So it's a little bit difficult to explain, but I guess you have to look at the website or at pictures or at videos of that to get a better idea if you don't have it already. So one of the nicer things for me there were the showers. I can really appreciate a hot shower in the morning, and the showers were excellent. Actually, most of the stuff was excellent, and I don't have a very good idea of what goes on in organizing such an event, but I guess it's huge, and all the stuff that went okay. I have nothing but respect for the organizers, so well done. There were a lot of talks and a lot of workshops. One talk I liked in particular was at the end. There was a guy talking about how to get into a new area of, into a new hobby, for example. So his example was that he never did woodwork seriously, but picked it up from scratch and eventually was able to make his own guitar. So one of the things I took away from that was that I think what he called decomposition anxiety or decomposition failure or something like that. If you have something new, he had trouble viewing it as non-atomic. In other words, it was very easy for him to see some new hobby or new challenge as an atomic thing that you can either do or don't do, but it's very difficult to do it in iterations or to get into it a little bit at a time, and I have exactly the same thing. So for me it helps as well to break work down into very little bits and then do these bits, and eventually you'll look back and see that you did the whole thing. So that appealed to me very much. Now this has nothing to do with technology or software or mechanical stuff, but one thing I did not like was Dragons and Dungeons. Yeah, that's it, D&D workshop for beginners. So I think it was 3 hours, and after 1.5 hour, 1 hour and 20 minutes, I thought to myself, fuck this shit. So I'm never doing that again. I walked away and did some other stuff. They had a great arcade, a lot of arcade machines, so I had a good time there and talking to people, and that was good. So for the next time, for similar events, maybe I would like some company. I went to the last SHA 2017 camp, which was sort of similar in the Netherlands last year. I went there alone, and I don't know very many people, so it was a little bit not so very nice. So I would really like some company. That's nice. That was excellent. And also, I should bring my chair. It's difficult to fit a chair in a backpack, but I'll do my best anyway, because I need a chair to sit in front of my tent and just space out or work on my laptop or do something, because else you're left with finding a chair or sitting on the floor. Those are your only options, so I need a chair. And also I would like to cook for myself in front of my tent or whatever, instead of standing in line for a food stall, because, practical reasons, standing in line is not so nice. And also, I think it's a very relaxing sense of making food for yourself and do it in your own pace and eating what you make and so on. So anyway. Yeah, this is sort of related. 2 things I made for that camp just to participate myself a little bit. I also noticed that participation is a big factor for me. I need to participate in something to fully enjoy it. And the more I do, the more effort I put in to participate and to expose what I did and show stuff what I did, the more I like it. I'm not sure that's actually how it's supposed to go, because I shouldn't feel the need to prove something to anyone, but that's how it works for me right now. So 2 things I made. First of all was a LED strip animation. I think I talked about that last time already. I don't even have a video, forgot about that, tossed it into the bin, and I thought, oh yeah, I should have made a video. Oh well. I got some pictures, LED strip segments put into 7-segment display shapes, one standing up and one laying down, so you can make all letters in the alphabet. So that's what I did, make an animation, like a color fade, and then the front flash letters to display a message. Now some letters you cannot make reliably or properly with 7-segment digits, such as the K and the X will look very similar, the U and the V will look the same, and yeah, I think that's it. But you can work your way around that by not using these letters, not using the X, not using the V, for example. It was a 1x1 meter plastic sheet on which I stuck the LED strips, and I put that sheet in between my inner tent and the outer tent, so it would shine through the material of the outer tent. And theoretically that worked because I tested it at home a little bit, but in practice the distance between the LED and the tent material was too much, so you would get a very diffuse blob of light. But it was okay, I guess, so wise lesson for next time, do that differently. But the idea is good, I think. Another thing I did was for my 1-bit, 1-instruction transistor CPU, the CBA CPU, I made a very small version using only 38 transistors, and it was crippled to a point that it was not useful at all anymore. It can execute a 2-instruction program because it only has a 1-bit address bus, so it's pretty much useless. So the only thing I can do is flash a LED, and indeed that's what I did, flash a LED. So I made a little batch for myself, PCB, stuck transistors on there, a BC547. It's a general purpose NPN transistor. Stuck it in the shape of a Pac-Man eating dots, so there was exactly 38 transistors plus an LED for the eye. I'll show a picture of that in the show notes. So that was quite nice. It dipped the top of the transistor in fluorescent paint. So you had 38 dots that would glow in the dark basically, or glow in black light. Not glow in the dark, but it was quite visible, so that was nice. Some people asked what it was, and it's a nice icebreaker if nothing else. So yeah, that was nice, that worked. I didn't make this is probably not very interesting, but the system around the CPU, as with the actual big model, consists of a microcontroller emulating RAM and ROM and implementing the peripherals like the display and the keyboard input or the key input. I did the same here. There was a small microcontroller at the back, and I had to make the software while sitting in front of the tent, which was very relaxing. And eventually it worked and I was very happy, so that's nice. Oh, by the way, to minimize the editing time, I got a new strategy. Namely, I have to physically leave the house in 15 minutes, so this podcast has to be finished in 15 minutes. So that seems to work up to now. Last time I talked about the Retro Challenge, which is an online-friendly competition to do something with retro technology. So, for example, make software on an old home computer, or revive an old home computer, or implement a simulation of an old home computer. It doesn't have to be with home computers. Anything retro will do. Anything technical will do. Anything will do, basically. And it's not about winning, it's about competing. It's very friendly, and I had a good time last time in April. So I want to do it I want to do it this time in September. There's a competition twice a year. So last episode I talked about having difficulty getting feedback from the guy organizing it, up to a point that I didn't even want to compete anymore, because I really want some feedback at some point. I want to be able to talk with the person in charge. That gives me a good feeling. So eventually he mailed back, and everything is fine, and so I will have a little project to enter in the September edition, which is a small demo for the Commodore 64 for the Home Computer Museum. So the idea is to make a small demo. It's purely software to run it at a Commodore 64 sitting in front of the window of the Home Computer Museum to attract the attention of passersby. That's the idea. So just a logo flying around and some text explaining what's inside and what they can expect, and basically to give clue to passersby in 10 seconds or something like that. That would be nice. Well, the idea of the Retro Challenge is that you do a little project, or you do a big project, whatever you want, and blog about the progress. So other people will be able to follow your progress, or afterwards see the steps you took to implement your project or to finish your project. So I find for hardware it's a little bit easier because you have pictures and you have a little bit of schematic. So for software it's a bit more difficult, I think, to show progress because it's more abstract. But however, this thing what I want to make is a visual demo, so I'll probably focus on the visual effects and try to, well, it's not going to be super fancy, but show pictures about how it's made and what the background is and how to calculate what's going to be on the screen in a nice way. So we're almost done now, don't cry. A lot of episodes ago I talked about PCB failures, so went through all the PCBs I ever made and noted down which ones failed at first try and which ones did not, and if they failed, what the problem was. Now, since the last time I did that, I think I made 4 new PCBs, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was in March and now it's September, so let's go through them. I made an LED drive of someone, which was actually okay in first try. Everything worked, everything was fine. Then for the EMFcamp I made a mini CPU badge thing. That was okay, it worked okay, that was fine, except there was an issue with the silk screen. So I would like a very white background and black transistors on the front of that, so they would stick out. But silk screen was... the PCB manufacturer mailed me that was not a good idea and they couldn't really do it and it would look like crap. So eventually I just wanted to get it done before I left and then just accepted whatever they could offer, and which was fine. But I have to experiment with that a bit, what looks nice and what looks not so nice. So functionality was okay, but the looks were not super optimal. Anyway. Then I made an actual PCB for work, which was also a LED driver and a DC-DC converter. Now, I have no idea if it works. I still have to test it today. However, I forgot to implement half of the PCB. So, yeah, that's a fail. And there's another board, which is also for work. And it fits. The screw holes fit, so that's a plus. And I have no idea if it works or not. I'll assemble it today or tomorrow, so we'll see about that then. So, at least 1 failure. No, at least 1.5 failures out of 4 boards. Possibly 3 failures out of 4 boards. Alright. Oh, and one more thing. I went to the retro computer place in the center of the Netherlands yesterday to, well, basically destroy computers and divide them into parts that can be used and parts that can be tossed away. It was very nice, talked to some people and basically had a good time. So that was basically it. 2 things that are upcoming, for me at least, is I'll do a little talk about the CPU I made. It's at the #CC Retro division. That's the, what is it? Holland Computer Club? Or something like that? No idea. Hobby Computer Club, yeah. The Retro division, so I'll do a little talk, 22nd of September. No idea, I didn't prepare a lot. I have a previous talk, slide from previous talk, but I think I'll amend it a little bit because those slides don't really make a lot of sense. So I'll make it simpler and easier and shorter, so that's good. And also for the retro computer place in the center of the Netherlands, the awesome space, I would like to do a small talk or workshop or something like that about how to use an oscilloscope in debugging hardware. So I have no idea what the level of attendance will be. So hardcore electronics engineers or people who have never held a multimeter. So I have no idea. I have to talk about that, but that seems fun as well. So that was all for now. For more information, links and previous episodes, visit podcast.cba.si. Stay tuned, thanks for listening and goodbye.